Thank you very much for dropping by the channel today. Truly appreciate it. Every single day bringing you content. I think we're on day number 681 or something like that. 581. Not too far away from 600 consecutive days of content on YouTube. And it's always about sneakers, sneaker content, all that kind of stuff. And today what we're doing is we're taking a look at the Nike Air Max, or the Nike Air Vapormax 2020. I think we've already looked at it before. I lose track of which ones I've looked at, which ones I haven't. But in particular, we're looking at a particular colorway on this guy. And it gave me a chance to look into the details on it, not just as far as the sneaker, how it looks, but also the technology behind it and the updates that there have been from the previous versions of the Vapormaxes. So today that's what we're going to be doing, is diving into all of that and digging in there and finding out exactly what's going on with the shoe, and answering the question that I had in the title of this video, which is why is the medial side so ugly on the upcoming release of the Nike Air Vapormax Pure Platinum. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker Channel des. Mainichi Absuru no de, Mainichi Mite Kudasai, and every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today what we're looking at is that Nike Air Vapormax Pure Platinum, 2020 Pure Platinum. Now I would say, I'm at a ballpark guess, I'd say there have been 5 Vapormaxes so far, maybe 4. I'm not perfectly sure on that, but I do know that the updates on this one, for me, are the biggest updates so far. Especially what we're going to be talking about is that midsole, which is kind of iconic in a way, and also the lacing system on these guys. But not just that, there's a bunch of other stuff going on in the shoe, other details that are well worth taking a look at. And for me, there's something about this shoe that reminds me of the Space Hippies. Here's the Space Hippies that dropped recently. There's something on them that reminds that reminded me about this shoe, and it'll come back to me at some point in this video. Maybe you know it before I'll get back to remembering what it is. But other things, you know, there's tons of other stuff on the shoe to look at, and tons of other details. But the first thing we have to do is answer that question. I always say that, you know, if there's a question in the title, I don't like to drag it out and keep you guys waiting for the answer. I like to give it as soon as possible, and that's right now. And what we're talking about is why the medial side is so ugly. And I'll let you decide. I won't actually, you know, impress my opinion on you, but what I'll do is I'll put up the lateral side right here, and you can have a quick look at that and get an idea for what it looks like. And then we'll pop up the medial side bump, and you can see that right there. It's like a whole sheet of blank canvas on the shoe. I was really surprised to see this. I was expecting something. There's a tiny swoosh towards the heel, if I remember rightly, but the rest of it is just a uniform Flyknit canvas. They, of course, in this particular colorway, with the number of colors on the shoe interwoven into that Flyknit, you've got a bit more going on, a bit more sort of character to it. But all in all, it's just a very solid blank side to shoe, which is kind of rare, even for knit fabrics. And you can do that for Adidas, or you can do it for Nike. It works both ways. Flyknit for Nike, Prime Knit for Adidas. But if you take, say, the Adidas Ultra Boost and look at the Prime Knit on them, especially 1 through 4, they still managed to sort of break up the shoe into sections, even though it was basically the same material front to back. Whereas a leather shoe, they actually break it up into sections because of the material, not because of the design. But then on these guys, you can see, like I said, on the medial side, it's just a uniform wall of Flyknit from Nike, and that's their kind of their breathable, fabricy uppers that they have on their shoes. It's very cool. It's a really nice Flyknit. I'm going to bring up, I think it's a Vapormax 3 right now. I think it's called a black gold. I hope I'm right in saying that, because I want you to look at the upper on that, and you can see that the upper on these guys was not at all Flyknit. It's a very different sort of uniform upper. It doesn't have any of that fabric material, any weaving or anything like that going on in them. And we'll come back to these guys later, because it's useful to be able to compare the big updates on the 2020s with a previous shoe. So, but then coming back to the medial on these Pure Platinums, like I said, you can see the whole side of that shoe is very much a big sort of uniform blotch, and to me it's a bit too much. You need something in there to break it up, even if it's just a quarter line that runs vertically up and down the shoe, just you know past the toes, like past as in, you know, wearers past of the toes, not the other way, obviously. So for me, it's a bit, you know, it's strange that they chose to do it that way. Whereas if we flip back to that lateral side, and you do see how much character that has on there. And aha, I remembered the swoosh on the side there. That's what reminds me of those Space Hippies, is the way that the swoosh is interwoven into the Flyknit of the fabric of the upper. So instead of it being like placed on top, as you would say, say, I don't know, if you went with a Dunk Low, you'd have a leather swoosh placed on top of the leather upper. But other times it's a print where they printed something on. It's not a separate piece of material, but it's a print. But in the case of these guys here, it's actually woven into the upper, and you can see that especially clearly on the lateral side where that big swoosh is. So again, that just highlights the fact that the medial side is a bit dull compared to the lateral side. Now, important features, the two main important updates in the shoe, as far as I'm concerned, might be wrong, maybe there's more things out there. Let me know in the comments down below. Important feature number one is the lacing system, and to me, let's put up a snowboard boot. I talk about this quite a bit when we look at shoes that are not laced in a conventional way. And snowboard boots, sometimes there's two kinds. There's laced kinds, and then there's this kind where you sort of turn a disc on the front and it sort of gradually tightens the wire around your ankle and gives you that stability. And then if we come back to today's 2020 Vapormaxes, you can see that they've gotten rid of that lacing system and they've replaced it with what is effectively a sort of wired kind of pull system as opposed to a tie system. And what we'll do is we'll flip back to those black golds I mentioned before, so I can give you an example of what a Vapormax looked like when it did have a regular lacing system on it, and then back again to these 2020s. And you can see, now I think I'm right in saying that on the front, I think on the front it says, is it release? On the back I think it says lock. And then on the front it says something else. So that's the two different ways that the shoe is sort of pulled together. And I'll show you. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can just look at the front of the shoe and then at the back of the shoe, and you see those two parts which sort of open and close the lacing system on there. And you can see how you'd pull it tight to sort of make it sort of clamp down on your foot, sort of thing. So so that's one major change between previous Vapormaxes and these guys. And then another major change is the size of that air unit on the midfoot. So if we bring back the black golds again, you can see how big the air unit was on them and has been on previous Vapormaxes. And then if we come back to these pure platinums, hopefully I've lined it up in such a way that you can actually see the difference between the two, as the size of that air unit has gotten smaller, but it hasn't affected comfort apparently. It's just it's affected, what I read is affected like the response or performance, but you haven't lost that kind of cushiony comfort to these guys. So so they're the two major details: lacing system and the size of the air unit. A smaller difference, if we go to today's pure platinums outsole, you can see that it's got a sort of maybe it matches the Flyknit in a way. It's kind of like almost like sections are interwoven together on the outsole section of the shoe. And then if we flip it back to another, I think these are different. These aren't the black golds. I think what I'll put up is a gumsole one, even though a gumsole and a Vapormax is kind of an oxymoron. But you can see that on previous versions they were very compartmentalized, and you've got different sections across the outsole and they're sort of separate to each other. And then if you come back to today's one, you can see that it kind of interweaves in a different way. So they've made an update on there. I don't think it's as big as the update of shrinking the width or the height of the air unit, or removing laces and putting in a sort of I don't know, pulley system on these guys. So so they're the two main updates, and then I think the outsole would be considered a smaller update. And then the final thing I want to get into on these guys is it's in two places. The toe roll. So hopefully the toe roll is visible right now. It's got this kind of marbled effect, a sort of blue yellowy marble effect, blue with hits of yellow or something, or green, and that all around the toe roll there. And then as you go back towards the heel counter, you see that again on the back of the shoe. And since we're there, we might as well go back to that lacing system on the very back, and you can see below that they have Vapormax sort of imprinted in that marbled kind of heel counter on the back of these guys. And then actually, now that I think of it, another thing to look at is onto the insole. There's that kind of wheel of swooshes again, which we've seen a couple of times this year. I think we saw it very large on a Kyrie 6 medial side. I think it was a Kyrie 6. I'll put whatever it is up here. It's a very large swoosh wheel on the medial side of a shoe that I did already. And then here we are, with that on the insole of these guys. So so back out, pure platinum, Vapormax 2020s. It's a great looking shoe. It's coming in men's, women's, and grade school. I don't know why they bothered saying it that way. Why didn't they just make them in different sizes and say here's the shoe? You don't need to put genders on it. But that's the sizes that they're coming in. It's a great looking shoe. For me, I think I'm right in saying this is July 23rd, and this video is going up on July 21st, maybe? No, July 18th. This video is going up on July 18th, and the shoe is going to drop on July 23rd, at least here in Tokyo, Japan. But there's too much coming down the line for me to even go even close to these guys. There's the Air Jordan 1 Tokyo, Japan greys that are coming out at the end of next week, which I definitely want to try and get my hands on. I'm in Tokyo, you know. And then also the Grateful Dead Dunks that are coming out real soon as well. There's two that will come out in general release. I think it's the yellow and the green, whereas the orange ones are a super limited, and the blue and the pink ones haven't dropped yet. So there's a lot going on, and I'm not going to put my money into a Vapormax when there's that much heat coming down the line. So by July 23rd, if that's what you're interested in, fill your boots. Go ahead and grab a pair of these if that's your thing. And I'm really sorry to Shoes Up Sleeves Down, a channel that I always try to promote because he supports me so much, and I don't support him enough. And I meant to say at the start of this video, so I apologise to Shoes Up Sleeves Down for skipping out on that and leaving it to the end. But you know what, buddy, I do appreciate you, and even if it's at the end of videos, I hope you don't mind that. So anyway, enough about that. Time for me to chip off. It's Friday night. It's not yet midnight, so I can maybe get this thing tucked away and ready for going up tomorrow and get myself to bed around about midnight and have a good night's sleep for once. So with that in mind, without further ado, let me chip off and thank you guys for checking out the content. But as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.